Good evening, my friends. This is Paul, and I am finally going to be reviewing Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. I did review it from a Catholic perspective, but that was full of spoilers, and at the time, Spirit of Justice had come out, and I was in the mindset of I don't like reviewing games that are too similar, hence why I didn't want to review New Super Mario Bros. Wii when it's pretty much just a worse graphics version of New Super Mario Bros. U. I'm trying to get out of that mindset in case there are retro lovers out there that don't have the budget for the latest and greatest, so that's why I'm going to try out some Dual Destinies here. This game is really hard to review after reviewing the Ace Attorney trilogy and Spirit of Justice because it almost feels like nothing is left. I mean, what does this game have that I haven't already talked about? It has a check mark next to objects you've already investigated, making the investigation sections, which are always a pain, significantly easier. There are fully rotatable crime scenes. The character sprites have a lot more personality because of the added 3D effect, even though the stereoscopic 3D doesn't really add much to the experience. The game has richer music, although not as great as Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright, in my opinion. And you have 3 playable characters instead of 1. Well, I suppose I should talk about what sets Dual Destinies apart from Spirit of Justice. First off, they just completely got rid of, all the occult stuff that always drove me crazy in the other Ace Attorney games. You know, Spirit of Justice takes place in a country full of spirit mediums, and Phoenix's assistant, Maya, as much as I love her to death, over-relies on occult tactics too much to get Phoenix a victory in the courtroom. Also, Dual Destinies embraced this growing trend that apparently started in Apollo Justice, which was hinted at in the 3DS re-release's epilogue, and that was the dark age of the law, where lawyers have been forging evidence to get their victory, and prosecutors will do whatever it takes to get a guilty verdict. Believe it or not, this game, as I've stated before, is actually a satire of Japanese courts. So it's actually not as far-fetched as you might think. Most of us just think that Phoenix Wright is so, oh my gosh, they just show total disrespect to the courtroom, when really, if you ever have watched a Japanese trial, it's a lot more faithful to their court system than ours. Dual Destinies introduced the mood matrix, which works exactly as it did in Spirit of Justice, so I don't see why I have to re-review it, but to sort of give a brief overview, you can pick up contradictions in witnesses' emotions. Big wow. Apollo's bracelet works exactly the same as it did in Apollo Justice, even down to recycling the exact same music, where you can pick up on witnesses' nervous habits, even though, to my knowledge, it's never used actually inside the courtroom. It's always during an investigation that you use it. And Phoenix, of course, has his Magatama. Thankfully, Psyche-Locks are nearly non-existent in this game. I hated them in the other games. And they're significantly less of a pain because you don't lose health when you get the wrong answer. And you also don't have the Magatama taking up a space in the court record. So you just press the X button, and then it'll take you straight to the Psyche-Lock if someone is carrying a secret. It is kind of a shame that there are black Psyche-Locks just in Apollo Justice, and it's still very hard to determine what exactly was broken. Because in Apollo Justice, black Psyche-Locks would appear to show that someone was holding a deep, dark secret that was so deep that even they didn't realize they were keeping it. And even though this game explains what they are, it doesn't really do much with the concept, which is a shame. Overall, the controls work fine, and there's also a little bit of DLC. Obviously, Ace Attorney was testing the waters at this point. You can purchase the very first trial that Phoenix did after his fall from grace in Apollo Justice, which is actually a fun little case, which admittedly doesn't take the game seriously at all. You're trying to defend a whale from murder, and that in and of itself made my sister not want to try it. But it does include a decent nod of fan service and is a full-fledged courtroom case. There's also costumes that you can get for all 3 of the main characters, including Phoenix's retro outfit, because apparently now he has one little bit of hair sticking out of his forehead, as if that's some revolutionary fashion trend. You're supposed to show that he's old, even though he's only in his 30s instead of his 20s now. And his outfit that he wore in the first trial of Trials and Tribulations, cloth mask and all. Apollo can get some street clothes, and Athena can get the outfit that the students of the Themis Legal Academy in Case 3 wear, which her yellow outfit is just absolutely ugh. I'm not normally one to complain about girls' fashion sense if it's modest, but Athena, did you have to choose yellow? Ugh. Dual Destinies does a great job of pretending that Apollo Justice's game never happened. The game basically just expects you to think that this game was the direct sequel to Trials and Tribulations. Honestly, I'm totally okay with that. It doesn't break the game much at all, and to my knowledge, there aren't even any returning characters from Apollo Justice. Well, there's one, but I won't spoil it. And the new prosecutor, Simon Blackquill, is easily one of the best in the series. I don't want to give away too many of his isms, because I found that a lot of his quirks were better enjoyed when you experience them for yourself. But the basic concept of a convicted murderer still being allowed to prosecute a trial under heavy supervision, that leads itself to some amusing moments, especially when he references obscure Japanese pop culture that our country doesn't really know about. Overall, if you like Ace Attorney, you're going to like Dual Destinies a lot, because it preserves most of what makes the original trilogy great. I say most because there are definitely some odd moments. It's hard to put my finger on, but there are some moments that might take a little getting used to from an Ace Attorney fan's point of view. Like, there aren't as many references to popular culture as the previous games. Maya is nowhere to be found, except in a brief mention near the end. And if you played Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright before this game, as I did, I honestly found this package to be considerably underwhelming in comparison. Thankfully, the game is significantly tougher than Layton vs. Wright, but it also has a very easy hint system that often ensures that you won't be too stuck. Basically, if you turn on assist mode, or whatever it's called, your companion character will point out the part of the testimony that has the contradiction. But the thing is, it only works during a cross-examination. It doesn't tell you what piece of evidence to present, and sometimes that can make it really hard to proceed through a trial. But thankfully the game also has a very forgiving save system, so you don't need to save every 2 seconds like you did in the Ace Attorney trilogy. You can basically screw up as much as you want, and the game will leave you right back where you were with minimalistic backtracking. The only thing that I think might be a little bit of a red herring for Dual Destinies, as far as, like, if you're a diehard Ace Attorney fan, should you get this? And that's, the game is rated M. So if you're a younger viewer watching this and you have restrictions on your 3DS, I can't really speak much to that, but for parents that are wondering, should I really let my child play an M-rated Ace Attorney? To be frank, I found this game to be significantly tamer than the main Ace Attorney games. I found that there were far less suggestive comments, far less revealing outfits. In fact, the only truly overly revealing concept was in the DLC case, and you can just choose not to buy that. Near the end, there's a slightly disturbing scene, but nothing is actually shown. There are some questionable amounts of blood and scary images in some of the cutscenes. And there's also a case that involves gender confusion. So, you make an informed guess from there. Personally, my sister played it before she was even a teenager. And only at the very last case was she like, yeah, I can see why this is rated M. But otherwise she was like, how is this rated M? This game is not nearly as bad as the other games. To each his own, I suppose. But yeah, if you can get past the ridiculous rating of the ESRB, I think you'll find a lot to like here. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please let me know what future videos you'd like me to cover, and until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye.